What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I'm your host, Brian Costa, and today we got a great episode in store for you. We're going to be breaking down everything from the Rafael Devers extension with the Boston Red Sox to Tua Tagovailoa being out for the Miami Dolphins and so much more. It's an action-packed episode, obviously. MLB offseason, NFL playoffs. Got a lot to talk about, and thankfully, I am pleased to welcome back a guest to this show. I'm thankful that he's able to join us once again. Obviously, the last time he was on the show, we had to discuss some pretty heavy subject matter. So I'm happy to have him on for some more enjoyable topics. Briant Johnson, welcome back to the show.
Hey, I'm back.
Yeah.
This time we actually have a much happier episode to talk about. Well, thankfully, everything turned out well for Hamlin. So
Yeah,
we're here to talk about some good stuff.
No, absolutely. So obviously with Damar Hamlin, I think today it was announced that he got discharged from the Buffalo hospital. He's going home. Everything's, looking pretty good there. So, I mean, that's the best news you could have ever asked for with that situation. And, when we did that episode just over a week ago, we didn't know what it was going to look like. We talked about our experience knowing how serious cardiac arrest could be with someone like Mike Elsesser, different things like that. And luckily for Damar, he's in a good place. Everything seems to be good. So, our prayers are still out for him, wishing the best of him in his recovery. But the sports world is moving on, and I think with that we should cover some of the other big stories. The first one that I wanted to cover is the big news out of Red Sox Nation, and frankly, we haven't had too much good news around here for Red Sox news. Maybe in the past like 1.5 years, it's been kind of miserable since 2021. And that news is the fact that at least we got one of them locked up. Rafael Devers, 11 years, $332 million. He'll be a Red Sox for life. Briant, what are your thoughts on all that?
Finally.
Yeah.
All off season, man. I was so mad at the front office. I mean, I really still am.
Yeah.
The 11-year extension, though, well worth it for Devers. Probably top 5 third baseman in the whole in MLB right now.
Yeah. I mean, it was in due time. I wanted us to just do something. And I mean, let me tell you, man, when we got rid of Bogarts, I was like, okay, but they're blowing up the team. Like, there's nothing you can do here. Cause I said, all right, like Chaim Bloom went on the Section 10 podcast and he ended up saying, hey, we got rid of Mookie Betts so we could bring back Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers. And while he did not keep the promise on Bogarts, I think we were able to at least negotiate them into keeping Devers. And I don't think that was originally part of their plan, to be honest with you. I think their plan was probably to, offer him some low ball deal, see if they could get him on the cheap. And then if they were to get blown out of the water, just count their losses and go on to the next guy. I think that's honestly what they were going to do. I could be wrong, but I don't know.
I think they're trying to go with like the old Red Sox way. You win a World Series, you take a couple years, rebuild up from the bottom. But honestly, I don't know if that system's going to work anymore. Everyone's so expensive, and they keep letting all the good guys go.
Yeah, I mean, they let a lot of guys go. And, what is refreshing with this deal is the fact that they're finally paying one of their homegrown talents. I mean, they had spent all this money in the past on guys like Pablo Sandoval, Carl Crawford, Hanley Ramirez, and just like throwing money at. And Hanley actually was a homegrown product. He brought him back in, though, after he established himself in the bigs. But just some of these other guys, like he threw a bunch of money at kind of unknown assets. And it was like, why can't you do that with someone who not only is good at what they do, and playing baseball, but also can handle the Boston market? Like, why can't you, like, why wouldn't you commit to a guy that can handle it here? Because not everyone can. And frankly, I think that eventually Red Sox fans and Red Sox Nation, they kind of got to ownership here. I think that, I don't know if you saw the clip of John Henry outside Fenway Park before the Winter Classic, but John Henry, obviously, being a part of Fenway Sports Group, also is an owner of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He shows up to Fenway for the Winter Classic in a Penguin sweater. And while he wasn't wearing it at the time, fans outside the park, as he was walking in, started heckling at him. And they were saying, come on, John, sign Devers. And then someone ended up saying, sign anyone. And basically, I don't know. I'm not going to say that that was the catalyst that got the deal done. But for him to be signed pretty much a couple days later, that says a lot. And like, there are some different reports. I guess something I saw today was that apparently on December 14th, so a little less than a month ago, Henry went John Henry went personally down to the Dominican Republic to make an appeal to Rafael Devers, and he offered him like a $300 million contract. And apparently Devers politely declined him. And then I guess like a week later, basically a couple weeks later, they got the deal done.
Yeah, it was really about time that they ponied up the money
Yeah.
because I'm sick and tired of seeing these guys they pull in from the top market teams, Story, another bust. All these guys, they can't handle the Boston market. And it's been proven every time we win the World Series, we win it with the guys we got homegrown.
Yeah.
Ayuk, Ortiz, everyone like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that what's refreshing about this deal too, it's just like, I don't know, like there were so many, like we could have avoided this. And like, listen, I think that the money we threw at Devers is honestly probably a lot. Like, I mean, not probably a lot. It obviously is a lot of money. It's the biggest contract in Red Sox history. But I think the Red Sox probably could have gotten him a lot cheaper had they not, lowballed guys like him and other people along the way. I mean, one of the reasons that Xander Bogaerts left Boston is because we lowballed him at the beginning of spring training. We offered him 4 years, 90 million, and he said, "All right, screw that. I'm going to go make basically triple that with the San Diego Padres." He got what, like 11 years, 280.
Something crazy. Like
Yeah.
the length was absolutely
Yeah.
ridiculous.
So he ends up getting a contract like that, and it's like, okay, like the Red Sox, at that point, if you're the Red Sox, you have to realize, okay, like we are not just a step behind where this guy wants us to be at. We're like 3, 4, 5 steps behind. And for them to finally realize, all right, we've made this mistake one too many times. And I think, to avoid having history repeat itself with Devers, they just kind of bit the bullet. And I'm glad that they did. I mean, this could turn out to be a bad contract down the road, but I'd at least say for the first 5, 6, 7 years of this deal, this is going to be a good contract.
Yeah, I would say at least 5 years in, we're gonna have one of the top third basemen in all the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even if I think that he will remain at third base for a good portion of this contract, but even if he does slide over to DH, I mean, he's still one of the premier hitters in the game too, and that's the thing. Like his defense isn't all that, but when it comes to him at the plate, he's one of the best bats in the league.
Oh, 100%. Always making an impact in the lineup, getting it done in the clutch situations, especially against like the big teams, the Yanks. That's one thing that's been getting on my nerves is not being able to compete with the Yanks anymore. It's because we're not putting up the money.
Yeah. Nah, that's something that's been getting at me too. But little video thing here real quick. Let me switch over.
Oh,
Yeah, all good. But yeah, so that's something that's kind of been getting at me as well. I don't know. I think that moving forward that hopefully this deal can salvage enough of a relationship with the team and the current players in the organization that it can make them basically say, oh, the Red Sox actually aren't going to lowball us. They are going to pay people now. And maybe that's a false precedent that's being set. Maybe they aren't going to do this really ever again, but it at least gives us, I think, hope down the road that, they at least could pony up the money in the future.
I just hope it sets a centerpiece for this team. Like now we have some person that we can actually rely on in our lineup besides, I mean, we got Verdugo and a couple of other pieces, but this really solidifies our lineup.
Yeah.
And hopefully that entices some other players to come on.
Yeah, I think that it will. I think this is definitely going to entice some people down the road. Yeah, like that, but that's the big part of the deal is the fact that like I think that's really it. Like if the Red Sox had let Devers go, you have no superstars in this team. And at that point, it's like, how are you going to get someone here? Maybe Marcelo Meyer, like 3, 4 years down the road could be a potential superstar. I mean, but great. That's still in the future. Like we don't know what that's going to look like. And, he could still end up being a bust. Like we really don't know what it's going to look like with him. I'm hoping for the best for him. From what it seems like, he could potentially be one of the best, prospects that we've ever had. But, we still have to see. There's a long way to go until he's in the bigs.
Yeah, I mean, you can never really tell. When we traded away, what was the second baseman?
Yohan Moncada.
Yeah, Yohan Moncada. He hasn't really been much.
No, he's nothing special.
And he was the best we thought we had.
Yeah. So. Well, he was ranked at number 1 prospect in baseball at the time. And, we shipped him off to the White Sox, got Chris Sale, and that evidently turned into a World Series for us. So, I mean,
not so much anymore. So
yeah,
we can get rid of Sale. Okay.
Yeah, it's fair enough. That contract has not really been too great, but I think the reason we had that contract is because they didn't want to have John Lester 2.0, where we, again, lowballed a pitcher and then, lost our ace. So I think that's why that contract ended up being the way that it was.
Yeah, John Lester, Yeah, he took, but he got a boat when he went to
he
the
got
Cubs.
yeah
He got a
he
lot.
got a bag from them. So I mean, he did a good like they did a good job, and I am hopeful that this move can push Red Sox ownership to spend more money down the line. Maybe that they're saving. Maybe I've seen some people saying like, oh, they could be saving up for Juan Soto when he hits the market. Maybe Shohei Ohtani, like they might want to make a bid at him. And if that's the case, then okay. But like I want to like at least see that there is that interest down the line. I don't want it to just be all right, we signed Rafael Devers and we just become the LA Angels where like it's just our superstar and then a bunch of low end talent around him. Like I don't want us to become that, and that's my fear right now. I think that if we show that we're willing to spend money after this, it's like, all right, we're back to being the Red Sox, we're back to being a big market club, and I'm comfortable with this team. But I don't want it to just be, yeah, we gave Rafael Devers the bag and now shut up and be happy.
Exactly. I don't want to turn to a low market team either.
No.
I think we need to compete with the rest of the AL East, and at this point in MLB, the AL East is the division to beat.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, I mean, even with bringing Rafael Devers back, we're still predicted to be the worst team in the division. I mean, it's
Even the Orioles are gonna beat us.
no, it's ridiculous, man. So, um, I don't know. I mean, obviously, this team's going to need a major overhaul in terms of pitching. Our infield right now is kind of in shambles with Trevor Story now being out indefinitely after.
Elbow surgery.
Yeah, I think it's like an elbow surgery, so he's going to be out for some time, and we might have like Christian Arroyo at third base, Kike at shortstop, Jaron
Hey.
Duran in center field, and wow, that's going to be a unit of a team.
Wait, who else did we picked up another infielder, didn't we?
I don't know who you might be talking about.
We got Devers, and then we had to move Story. Oh wait, no, that was before
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah,
thought we were gonna get Bogarts. Yeah. Never
yeah,
mind. Never
yeah,
mind. You know, it's a mess. It's a mess.
yeah. No, it is what it is. But
Hosmer's gone too, right?
yeah, we cut
Yeah.
Hosmer.
Yeah, that's great.
So I don't know. This team, it's still frustrating, but I'm at least glad that we got something done, and that's something I'm happy about because I don't know. It seems like anytime I buy a Red Sox shirt, like within 2 years, it's completely outdated and meaningless. The only like because I think just last year I got a JD Martinez shirt. And now
Uh,
he's on the Dodgers. He's out of town. And listen, I love JD. I'm gonna respect him for everything he did here. In my opinion, that's one of the best contracts in terms of like production that we've ever had as a franchise. I mean, JD was basically an all-star every year, was hitting 30 plus homers, was a great quality bat all the way until the end of that contract. You can't really ask for a better contract. So I'm not disappointed in him in like him. I'm disappointed in him leaving, but I'm not disappointed in like that shirt or anything not having any meaning. But the last shirt I had bought before that was a Mookie Betts t-shirt. Like, and then Dustin Pedroia, he's retired.
I
And
mean, the
now,
Mookie Betts.
yeah,
That's a good one.
yeah. And then my brother had Xander Bogaerts. And now the only thing that I have active right now of an active Red Sox player, it's Alex Verdugo. And I just bought it because he's number 99. I
I'm
thought
a
that was cool.
Verdugo hater. You
You're
know this. You know this.
why are you
Remember?
why are you a Verdugo hitter?
I can't get over the fact that we traded Mookie.
I
Like Mookie was my guy,
it's not
and
his
we
fault
just
though.
shipped
Like,
him out.
yeah, but that's not his fault. You know who
I know. I know.
no, I'm not a Verdugo hater because he wasn't supposed to be the centerpiece of that deal. He was when we traded Mookie Betts, he was the immediate major league talent that we were receiving in the deal. And the idea was, all right, you're gonna receive instant major league talent, you're gonna receive a prospect and then a second tier guy. The guy you should be pissed off at is Jeter Downs. He was supposed to be the centerpiece of that entire deal, and we just
That's a
DFA'd him.
Woosok bust right there.
He got DFA'd. He's on the Washington Nationals now.
Yeah. When we were watching him for the Woo Sox, he looked like he was gonna light it up. He was hitting the moonshots over the Abry sign, and now all of a sudden he goes to the bigs. I mean, he had that one hit against the Yankees.
Yeah, he had one home run, but I mean, like he is basically just a pinch runner. That's what he is. Like if I had to really think of a guy to compare him to, it's Quentin Berry. I don't know if you remember that guy, but during the 2013 season, we traded like some Paw Sox pitcher to the Royals. We got Quentin Berry, who was an outfielder from them, and we just had him as a pinch runner to come off our bench in certain situations. That's all he was for us the entire year. And I think he actually did hit one home run on the very last game of the 2013 season against the Orioles. But other than that, this guy never touched the field as anything other than a runner. That's what Jeter Downs will probably be in his career.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's what we traded Mookie Betts for, that was the centerpiece of a Mookie Betts trade. that says all you need to know about Chaim Bloom as a GM. It was a colossal failure, that trade.
This is a hard take, but Chaim Bloom I think needs to go. That's
Hard take?
I
That's not
mean
a
it's
hard
an
take.
easy take for like Boston guys, but
That's not a hard take.
yeah,
And a lot.
he's got to go. He's always had to go, and we just never let him.
Here's the thing. I have said this on my show. I have never been a Chaim Bloom guy since the day we hired him,
Yeah,
because
me neither.
I when we had Dave Dombrowski in here, it's not that I don't think Dave Dombrowski was perfect, but I will.
Terrible. He
No,
got
he
the job done.
definitely wasn't terrible. And I'll say this. I mean, you can talk about him possibly wasting the farm and bad contracts, and I don't even really agree with a lot of that. But with Dave Dombrowski, he carries a reputation, and whether you like that reputation or not, you know who Dave Dombrowski is when his name gets brought up. It's like, oh, that's the guy that has, that guy has a resume. And when we got rid of him and we canned him, I was like, all right, who's the next guy we're going to bring in? And while I can't think of guys off the top of my head, it was like, all right, we're going to bring in like another big high profile GM to take his place, someone like that. And they talk about Chaim Bloom, and I'm like, okay, he's from the Rays, but like he wasn't even like their past general manager. He was like an assistant, like secretary. I'm making up positions, but just some like other guy to the GM. Like he was like he was basically the GM's friend. And it's like, I'm sorry, but like what in your mind made you think this guy was qualified?
I couldn't tell you.
No.
I mean, I think maybe because that was the year that the Rays, they had Snell, they had all these pieces,
Yeah,
and they were succeeding.
Well, and I think that they thought at the time, all right, like if he's a part of that, if he's a part of the equation that's getting all these stars, and well, it's not even about knowing the system. It's that if he's a part of this system, he must know how to evaluate talent. And that's what the whole idea of Chaim Bloom was going to be, is that, like Moneyball, you could find like these low end guys and turn them into superstars. And that just hasn't happened. Like we've busted on like more guys than we probably have hit on, that's the frustrating part. Like Connor Siebold just got DFA'd. He was a Chaim Bloom guy.
I haven't seen any like prospects for the Red Sox that have really done anything. There was way more under Dombrowski, like Ellsbury, homegrown. I mean,
well, Ellsbury wasn't Dombrowski, but he was out.
Yeah, he was way before.
Yeah.
But I mean, like our farm system used to breed our whole team, and now we're going out trying to get these guys, and when we get them, they're busts.
Yeah, and like I understand that that's what Dombrowski did when he depleted the farm, but like, Chaim, you've had 3-4 years since Dombrowski's been gone. Like, you can build up a farm system in that many years. You can go from having a bottom of the league like farm system to a top of the league farm system in that time. It's not that difficult. Oh, not that I'm not gonna say I can do it, but other GMs have done it. It's possible. That's what I'll say. It's possible to happen. And the fact that it hasn't, I mean, you probably need to like adjust there. But I don't know. I'm hopeful for the Red Sox moving forward. I saw a thing on MLB.com. It said that it predicted like the next 10 World Series or something. And I think it said that it had the Red Sox winning the World Series in 2031 against the Milwaukee Brewers. And I said, I don't know what the hell is going to make you think that. Because I have no idea what the league's going to look like.
Must be getting a lot of pitching.
Must be getting something. But I'm not saying that I don't want it, that I wouldn't take us in the World Series in 2031, but I mean, I'd like to be in a little bit before that. That'd be a nice little thing to have, but yeah.
I mean, we basically gutted the whole team. I don't really know that we'll be there before 2031.
Yeah, it's gonna be some time, man. But I don't know. That's where I'm at with the Red Sox right now. Obviously, great contract for Rafael Devers. Another player though ended up just getting a contract, and we have to talk about him for the third time getting a contract this offseason. That's Carlos Correa. We had thought that he was going to the San Francisco Giants on a multi-year deal there. Like, I think it was like 12, 13 years out there, like $360 million. It was like, wow, like, the Giants just threw a bag at Carlos Correa. Wow. Like, he's going to be his Giant for life. And then, that deal falls apart. He has a bad physical that they don't like. And then Steve Cohen doing what he does this entire offseason, throws the bag at him. I think it was 11 years, $312 million. And it was like, wow, the Mets are just going to be absolutely loaded. Correa is going to play third base. They're going to have Lindor at shortstop. Like, this is going to be an absolute unit of an infield and, possible World Series favorite. I mean, and then yet again, that physical comes back to bite Correa in the ass. And we're just sitting here and, all of a sudden I get the alert. Carlos Correa to the Twins, 6 years, 200 million. And listen, 6 years, 200 million is nothing to scoff at. That's an amazing contract. But for where he was and the money he was getting to what it ended up becoming, I'm just wondering what the hell had to have happened with his physical to have this happen.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, what has to be wrong with this guy that they're taking like at least 6 years off his contract?
Yeah. And I looked into this too. And apparently, because I was thinking, like, oh, is this like a contract thing that, like, is this an injury that he had this year? Is this something that, he's been having throughout that has, like, just crept up on him and he's been having? And I looked into it, and no, this is an injury he's had since he came to the big leagues, and he was in the minors in 2014, like before he even came into the bigs. And apparently it's a lower leg injury. And then there's also like a back injury that they're looking at as well. And I'm like, I'm no Carlos Correa fan. I look at the whole cheating scandal with what happened in Houston, and I'm kind of disgusted by it. But I'm just like, if he's proven to you that he's been able to battle through this injury to this point and has been a productive enough player, why aren't you happy with that?
I mean, a long-term deal, I would be looking at everything too. I'm not going to spend over 300 mil. All those long-term deals were over 300.
Yeah.
300 mils also definitely nothing to scoff at. But if you're looking at 12 years and a bad back, bad leg, and he's got to play short, that's a lot of movement. I mean,
Yeah.
that could, like, a lot of problems could arise from that.
No, I mean, I don't think that you're wrong, but just like the fact that they could, I don't know. I've also seen a thing too where he
I
has
don't think he's a difference maker though. Like for the Mets, I think makes a lot of sense why they'd back out. The Giants, no. Like the Giants, they have really no one that's like pops off the paper.
No. Here's where I disagree with you on that. I think it makes more sense for the Mets to sign him than it did the Giants. I mean, listen, I understand the idea of the Giants. They want to get a superstar in there, start to rebuild a team, and they, in theory, when they paid him, had a lot of money to do so since they were in the Aaron Judge sweepstakes. But I don't know. I think it made more sense for the Mets to do it because they said, all right, like, we might be able to get this guy on the cheap. And, I think they were able to take like $40-50 million off what he was originally going to get. And it was like, all right, like, we could get this guy and then potentially go win a World Series. And I think that was the mentality that they had. And while it didn't work, I at least was able to understand it. Now he's going back to Minnesota. And this makes a lot of sense because at least they were able to take the flyer on him for the 1-year contract anyways. And, he said that he liked it enough out there to where if he was given a contract from them that he liked, he would return. And that's evidently what he did.
I think he just took it because he wasn't gonna have anything else. Honestly,
You don't think he could have gotten anything else?
I mean, I think he could have, but I think they would have lowballed it more. They would have pulled a little Red Sox action right there.
I honestly, I was wondering if the Red Sox were going to come at him for a second.
Actually, I think that's what I was thinking of. I think the Red Sox, I read somewhere that they might take a bid on Correa. And then I was like thinking about it, and I was like, where would they move Devers?
1 year,
What would they do
1 year
with Story?
minimum.
Exactly. But so that was the thing about the Mets. That's what I was saying about the Mets. I don't understand a 12-year deal with him because I think the Mets, obviously, they're trying to take this run this year with all the guys they got back. They got Nemo, they got all this and that. They did all the extensions. But I don't know that I would take a player like Correa for like that long. Like 12 years is a long time.
It's a big commitment. I don't disagree with you, but I am surprised that it did come to this. Like, I just like, because I've seen this happen with a player once, I think, in my entire time of, being a Major League Baseball fan. And it happened in the 2013-2014 offseason. So between those two seasons. And at the time, there was a closer for the Oakland A's. His name was Grant Balfour. He was from Australia. I just remember like kind of like these things about him. And he was a really good closer for the A's in 2013. And for the A's in 2013. And basically, I think it was the Baltimore Orioles. They offered him a contract, and it was like, yeah, he's signing with the Orioles. And at the time, you think about the Orioles going into 2014, they geared up and actually became a really good team that year. So it was like, oh shoot, like they're really gonna make that bid. And all of a sudden it comes out that, that they didn't like something with his physical, and then he signed with the Tampa Bay Rays and was a complete disaster there. But that was only once, and like no official paperwork was signed. It was like, and it wasn't a big deal like this. It was probably like a 2-year contract. It wasn't, because he was at the end of his career, and it was like, okay, whatever. But to have a big contract like this turned into a 6-year deal is absolutely wild. That we've never seen this before.
No, I mean, We were just talking about this. Like the whole offseason's
Yeah.
definitely changed. I don't know for the better or for worse, but it's changed over time for
Mhm.
sure.
No, yeah, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, like we're seeing, I mean, the contracts that we saw this offseason are absolutely absurd because we had been, I think, for a while seeing a trend of maybe guys getting paid less. And, within the swing of one offseason, we're back to, these big legacy lifetime contracts again that I think a lot of teams are trying to get away from with opt out and all these different things. I think a lot of players right now, I don't know if they're not like wanting to bet on themselves as much because Aaron Judge bet on himself and he probably earned himself another $148 million. But I think you look at a guy like Xander Bogaerts. I think they want the years, they want the guarantee that they're going to be under contract and get this annual money. I think that's what they care about more than just like the AAV. Like they want that annual income.
For baseball, I know it's a lot. I mean, we both used to play. It's a lot of mental. So I don't know if some of the guys just want that long-term deal so they don't have to worry about that constant conscience of trying to get that money the next year.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing too. Is like, I mean, look at the Bobby Bonilla contract. That contract is paying this guy who hasn't played baseball since 2001. It's paying him till 2036. So, I mean, I think that a lot of these players, they just want to guarantee that there's going to be a steady flow of cash coming in over the years. And I mean, frankly, I can't blame them. I mean, I can't. But um, that's what I have really in baseball news. I want to switch it up and get over into the NFL because the NFL playoffs are going to be absolutely wild. I talked a little bit about it on my last show with Noel D'Amico. Yeah, basically right now, there's a lot of things up in the air right now. The main thing that is up in the air right now, is the fact that the Buffalo Bills are going to have a bye week this week. I mean, because Tua Tagovailoa is out against the Buffalo Bills, and the Dolphins are now going to start rookie quarterback Skylar Thompson, and I like it that the game's over. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to win this game. It's a joke at this point.
I'm I'm curious to see what Buffalo's
Yeah.
gonna do. I would not be surprised to see them just run up the score and then, sub in a couple guys to save maybe a Josh Allen or someone for next week. I
You
could see that happen.
really?
Well, I mean, think about it. Last week, the last game they played, I doubt they'll do it because last week I thought that they were gonna do that because then they would have to play the Patriots
Mm-hmm.
if they let who did they play last week?
The Patriots. The Bill.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
the Dolphins
So
played the Jets.
no, no. So if the Bills lost to the Patriots,
Yeah.
then the Patriots would have got in. So they went to play the Patriots again. But it just so happens that Tua Tagovailoa, obviously I think they knew he was going to be out, so they wanted to win that game to play the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
But if it wasn't for that case, I think they would have much rather played the Patriots than played another team. You know what You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I can definitely understand that. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just been a crazy whirlwind, man. Yeah, like this has been nuts. like the playoffs so far. Um, but I mean, looking at the way that this whole Dolphins thing kind of fell apart, it really just like harkens back to the fact that they just completely mismanaged this Tua situation. Like they like go back all those weeks where he had the concussion and it was clear he's fallen down on the field and they called it a back injury. And just 4 days later, he goes out against the Bengals and gets rocked. Like, like his hands are contorted in all different ways, gets carted off the field, and was probably out for how many weeks was he out for? Like 2-3 weeks?
It was really short, honestly, for something that of
Yeah,
that
for
magnitude.
back-to-back concussions. He comes back, gets another concussion on top of it. And you had guys like Booger McFarland saying, like, shut Tua down for the season, call it, his year, and just like say, like, we're going to try this thing again next year because we do not want to risk this guy's future. And it was like, wow, like that's pretty powerful based on the fact that some people thought the Dolphins might have the ability to make some noise in the playoffs with dynamic weapons like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And now we're seeing that come to reality where Tua isn't suiting up and the Dolphins can't even go to Teddy Bridgewater right now. That's the thing too, is the fact that I think Teddy Bridgewater is a competent quarterback and maybe he could make a game out there in Buffalo if everything went right with those weapons. But Skylar Thompson is not that guy. He is an XFL quarterback at best. I'm sorry. He should not be in the league right now. Like there has to be a better third option than Skylar Thompson.
I
There has to be.
I mean, maybe he'll pull a Brock Purdy.
No, Brock Purdy has like some like obviously Brock Purdy's in an incredible
But he
system.
was Mr. Irrelevant too.
He was
Gotta
Mr.
think about
Irrelevant. Yeah, but I don't think Skylar Thompson was drafted though.
Yeah.
So he's
So
below Mr. Irrelevant.
I'll agree with you that the 49ers offense, their system, you could throw anyone. I think personally, you could throw any quarterback in the league minus Zach Wilson
Yeah.
in that system and they'll succeed.
Okay.
It's just basically dummy proof.
Yeah.
Their offensive line is disgusting. Their running back, they got a good running game. They got receivers that are versatile. They got Debo who can run the ball and catch the ball. They got one of the best tight ends in the league for passing and blocking. What else do you need in offense? Nothing. They got Ayuk. They got the deep threat. They got McLeod. Like you could throw anyone in there. The Dolphins, all they got is the receivers. They got Hill. They got Gesicki and Waddle, and you need a quarterback to spread the ball out because they're all deep threats, honestly, except for Gesicki, obviously.
I'm not going to say that I think the Pats deserve to be in the playoffs with the way that they played this season and fared against the Bills. But if you're an NFL fan, I at least rather see, someone who's competent at the quarterback position like Mac Jones than a guy named Skyler.
I know,
sorry.
but Mac Jones is not a competent quarterback either. Let's be honest.
More competent than Skyler Thompson.
He is, but he's not competent.
I mean, I want to see someone who will actually move the ball downfield.
I wanted the Lions to get in. I was really angry to not see the Lions. I love me some Dan Campbell, but I think the best case scenario would have been for one of those wild card teams to make it in.
Yeah.
But, we're stuck with what we got. And I agree. I think it's going to be a mop. I think the Bills are just going to run them over.
Yeah. The Bills could start literally me and we'd put up 40. Like, I'm sorry. It's not even going to be a competition on Sunday. Like, I don't know what I would bet for the Bills to win this game, but
they might be like an under 500 right now. But also, I'll touch on this. I think the Bills have a lot of motivation to go to the Super Bowl this year with everything that happened with Hamlin. I think they could ride that wave all the way to the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, like when you have something like that happens, when something like that happens, it's going to, empower a team to really pull through. And it's like one of those storybook things. Like, I mean, I'm not going to compare it in terms of.
I was going to compare it to the Red Sox.
Well, that's what I was going to say. And obviously, that was like a tragedy on the city. Everything that happened with that, and obviously, Damar Hamlin is just the singular person. But there is like that whole camaraderie coming together and playing for something bigger than yourselves. I mean, I'd say it frankly. I don't think the Red Sox are winning that World Series in 2013 if the Boston Marathon bombings don't happen.
I don't think so either.
Like they were playing for something bigger than themselves that year, and it was a storybook ending to triumph over tragedy. I think you could see something similar here to Buffalo where they rally behind DeMar and they do this for DeMar, and you have the number 3 patch, you're doing everything for them. I think that's definitely a possibility, and I think that this definitely gives the Bills, I'd say, a good advantage going into the postseason, but they're still going to have some pretty solid competition they're going to have to face off against. I don't know if they have it yet to get over the hump of facing the Kansas City Chiefs. I just don't know if they have it yet. Because, I mean, they got them once, but I just don't know playoff time. Like, especially, I mean, here's the thing. It could be different now because, we did learn today that the potential AFC Championship game between the Bills and the Chiefs, if that is the matchup that we get, would be held at a neutral site in Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. And that could be a very interesting matchup down there, especially if there's no essentially home field advantage. That game could be like 55-50. Like it could just be an absolute shootout down the field and just all offense all day long. But and so I will say that if it's not on Kansas City's home turf and you're not at Arrowhead, who knows what's going to happen. But I think that KC just still might be in their heads. I don't know if I need Buffalo to prove it in the playoffs and just say and be like, we're not afraid of these guys anymore. We're here to stay. I need to see it.
First, I think that the home field advantage is a big deal in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
For these two teams, especially though, Arrowhead, the Chiefs fans are crazy, but Bills Mafia, probably one of the best fan bases in all of the NFL. But secondly, I think it comes down to the Bills defense. I said this when they were going to play the Bengals before we went out. I said it's going to come down to the Bills defense. And I don't know how they're doing right now, but I remember before the Bengals, they were really banged up.
Mhm.
So if they're banged up going into this game with all the weapons that Kansas City still has, and they got Pat Mahomes, obviously, I don't know. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a shootout, big scoring game, like you said.
I
So
mean, and that's even if they get there. I mean, the Bills may have to face the Bengals before it even comes to something like that. Because I
I would
mean,
love to see that game.
yeah, it's finally like actually get some, see like out of those two teams which one is going to be the better one this year and settle it on the biggest stage. That could really be an interesting matchup. I mean, I think that the Bengals, they're just like with the way that they're running right now, they still might, in my opinion, be able to take over a team like the Bills. I mean, Josh Allen, probably the most talented quarterback in the NFL. I mean, you can make a case that of Pat Mahomes, but Josh Allen at least deserves a spot in that discussion. And when he's on and he's making plays, he's borderline unstoppable.
Best playmaker in the NFL.
But if that Cincinnati offense with Joe Burrow is humming and he doesn't need to have these truck he doesn't need to truck defenders down the field on some downfield scamper and like
I'd
make these
hope
crazy
not.
plays happen. But if he's able to have a good offensive line protecting him, which is always questionable with Cincinnati, and he can make plays, then since he really could run through it, because Jamar Chase he's him, and then you have T Higgins, and then you have Tyler Boyd as that great third option. So
Yeah.
I think that they need to be. I think being in the Super Bowl last year, the representatives of the AFC, they're still going to be a very dangerous team.
Best wide receiving core in the NFL is the Bengals.
Yes.
And if they're all humming, like you said, then it's pretty unstoppable, especially I mean, the Bills secondary is pretty
Yeah.
subpar. It's not subpar. I mean, they got Tre'Davious White, but it's mediocre.
Yeah. No, it's nothing really crazy. So I mean, you have Poyer, but
Hoyer's dinged up for
yeah,
sure.
he's dinged up, and then obviously Hamlin, he was getting some reps on a couple of reps on defense there, and he was making some plays. So I mean, you are missing some pieces there. So I don't know if I mean Tyler Boyd. I really would say this. He had that touchdown against the Bills. He could really be a key to this entire playoff run for the Bengals, because everyone is going to be doubling Chase and Higgins down the field, and that's the given. But similar to what the New England Patriots were able to do back in the day, where it would be like, all right, Julian Edelman's locked down. Rob Gronkowski is somehow being held back by a linebacker on this play. Let's find Chris Hogan. Let's find Danny Amendola. Let's throw it to the running back out the backfield. If the Bengals are able to do that and utilize their secondary and tertiary guys, they have a good chance of running it back to the Super Bowl this year and possibly winning it.
I honestly think that was a good comparison there, but I think that the Bengals offense is even more lethal than that. I mean, they don't have Rob Gronkowski,
no,
but
absolutely. I'm not saying it's
they
more
got
lethal than that.
They got Boyd, they got Hurst, and then they got Mixon, who's definitely better than all the Patriots running backs that they had.
So what it's going to be dependent on is if Joe Burrow can not. Which he's traditionally been very good at. He's not the type to where he's going to be picky and say like, oh, I need to go to Jamar here. I need to go to this guy. You could sometimes see that happen with a guy like Aaron Rodgers, where, he would favor Devontae Adams on certain plays and say like, all right, I got to go to Devontae here. Cause frankly for him, he just didn't have a lot of talent surrounding him and maybe didn't have confidence in other guys to make plays. So if Joe Burrow can say, all right, I'm going to go to Hayden Hurst, I'm going to go, to, Joe Mixon on a screen pass here to get some yardage. If he can read those plays right and not be dependent on his superstar guys, but strike with them when they're open, like this team could be unstoppable in the playoffs.
That's what I like a lot about Joe Burrows. He takes what he gets. He's not picky. He just uses the open read. He doesn't care who he hits.
Yeah, that's what made him the number one pick. It wasn't the fact that he has the physical, like just the physical strength of Josh Allen or the arm talent of Pat Mahomes. It's that he just is he's basically just an A+ mind of football. Like he has probably a very similar QB acumen to a Tom Brady, to where he just can read the field.
I think if I were to do a comparison, I would think Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. That's what made them so good, is they both had that QB mind, and they would just pick the defense apart. They would know what the defense is going to do before they know what their read is, and just hit it, take what they can get.
Yeah, I've said this for a while now. I think that people were talking about the matchup of Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen being like the next Brady Manning. I think, frankly, it could be more comparable to Joe Burrow is. I'm not going to say he's the next Tom Brady legacy wise.
Don't sleep on Justin Herbert.
Hear me out. This is what I think that the future NFL is going to look like in terms of old comps. Joe Burrow is gonna be most similar to Tom Brady in terms of play style with the way that he plays. Pat Mahomes is going to be essentially Peyton Manning, not in terms of, just like similar play style, but just like unreal talent. Manning had that cannon of an arm that could just like, he was able to do ridiculous things
until he got injured.
Yeah, exactly. So that was Manning's elite, athleticism. Josh Allen, I think, could be Ben Roethlisberger, where
I could
you're the big physical guy can sometimes
Big Ben could make some plays before he got really fat.
Yeah, so he could bowl some guys over downfield, and Josh Allen, let's face it, has a much better arm than Ben Roethlisberger. But that's my comp for him. I think Josh Allen could maybe go win 1-2 Super Bowls in his time in the NFL, and then
Herbert got Rodgers.
No, Herbert, I was going to say, I think unfortunately he could end up being Phillip Rivers because he's with the Chargers.
But Phil Rivers had a great career.
He had a great career.
He just could never make it past.
He had a great career, but he was plagued by his own franchise, which I think could be the same thing for Justin Herbert if he does not get out of LA. I feel like that could unfortunately be Justin Herbert's fate.
They got a lot of pieces there, though. I could see them making a run this year if they can get past the second round.
That's the thing, though. And I mean, Mike Williams unfortunately is hurt, so I mean, I'd like to see them make some plays.
If everyone stays healthy, they also have a lot of weapons on the offensive side, and they got Derwin James to lock down the D.
Yeah.
So actually, no, he's not suspended. Never mind.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Unfortunately, I feel like the Chargers, they just haven't had that traditional playoff success for so many years, and they're going to need some veteran presence in there to really get them back to that level. And I just don't know if they have that right now.
I think they need a couple wins under their belt. At least if they win this year, I think
I could say that could make them a more dangerous team in the future. Sure. But this year, I just don't see it. I just don't see it right now, but that's what they could obviously build off of.
You have some predictions. Huh?
Yeah. I mean, what's your favorites coming out of the AFC and NFC this year?
My favorites AFC, Bills.
Okay.
Bengals. I think whoever wins that game is going to the Super Bowl, which I'm pretty sure everybody thinks. My NFC favorites, 49ers and Chiefs, right? Probably Chiefs. I don't really see anyone else touch it. I don't think the Eagles.
Wait, you said the NFC? You said the Chiefs?
Oh, sorry, they're AFC. I meant, I guess Eagles, but I don't think the Eagles are going to go that far. I think that they're kind of mediocre. They're a lot like the Vikings.
Yeah,
I mean, they've been in a slump.
I think the Lions are a paper tiger. Not the Lions. I think the Vikings are. I think that the Minnesota Vikings are.
Everybody knows they're a fraud.
Yeah, the Vikings are frauds. They could go down this weekend, in my opinion, against the Giants.
I could no. Okay.
I could.
The Giants.
It happened already this season. What's gonna say that they can't go down again?
I think, dude, they change every weekend though. They'll play a good team, they'll beat a good team, then they'll play a mediocre team and lose.
They play down to competition. That's what they do.
Yeah.
So I mean, they were able to have a historic comeback against your Colts, but like,
okay, that's enough.
But other than that, like, I mean, like they are frauds. Like my buddy Tyler Tucker is a Vikings fan. I don't have confidence in this team. I have confidence in Justin Jefferson to make plays downfield, but he got locked up against Jair Alexander in that Packers game. So, nothing is really a guarantee right now. I mean, and the Packers, who just lost to the Lions and missed the playoffs,
the Lions were hot.
They put up 38 points on. They put up 38 points on them. The Packers did.
Yeah,
they lit them up. So I mean, if the Giants can just do something like that,
you're gonna need a big game out of Saquon.
I mean, if
Saquon is basically their offense.
Also, watch for Richie James to make some plays.
Richie James, dude,
he is a good player.
I think I could see him being like the next, not OBJ like that good, but I could see him being someone of like a T. Higgins,
Mike Williams, maybe even.
I could see Mike Williams.
Yeah.
But like a smaller receiver.
Sure.
I think I'm glad they shipped out Tony because they gave Richie James a bigger role.
Yeah, I think that he could really explode in this offense. So I really do think that the Giants could beat the Vikings this weekend. I really do. And frankly, I think the Giants could maybe even go on a run. Like if it gets, because here's the thing, if Hurts is still injured for the Eagles, that I don't really trust Gardner Minshew. And then if it really comes down to facing the 49ers, I mean, listen, Brock Purdy's been balling, and like we said, that offense is dummy proof. But if you get, Daniel Jones, if he has one of those killer games which he had just a couple weeks ago, I mean, again, it's the NFL playoffs. Anything can happen. And for this kid, he's a rookie. Who knows how he's going to deal with this pressure. We don't know how he's gonna fare once the lights are at their brightest.
Right. I mean, they could just hand the ball off the whole time. I mean, that's what the Eagles could do too, because the Eagles' offensive line,
Sure.
honestly, best in the NFL, in my opinion. They got Kelsey, they got Lane Johnson. What's the other guy? Starting with an M.
On the Eagles outline?
Yeah, he's a tackle,
I'm not
big
sure.
big guy. All right, whatever. Those three pieces
You can
on
look it
that
up if you want, but yeah,
those three pieces on that line just like
sure.
solidifies it.
Yeah.
And obviously the 49ers too, beastly offensive line.
No, they like that. That's the thing.
I could see Purdy being cool though. This whole season he's been cool under pressure.
I don't think
Tom Brady-esque.
I don't think it's necessarily him being cool under pressure though. I wonder. Here's the thing. Half of me thinks it could be him being cool, like calm, cool, collected under pressure, and then the other half of me is thinking he's a rookie, and I'm not calling him stupid, but he's more, he might just be ignorant of how big the situation is since he hasn't been in a situation like this before. He might just be going like, all right, yeah, I'm just playing football right now, just doing what I do. This is like college. This is like anything else, just trying to win the game and, do my job. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's good if he doesn't really recognize like, hey, like there's legacy involved here. I'd be the first rookie quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl if I was to make it there. Like, it might be good if he's just more naive than anything.
It kind of reminds me of Tom Brady though, the way he just stepped in and took the role, like ran with it.
No, I mean,
but I feel like his first game would be the one with the greatest magnitude, and he seemed unfazed.
Yeah.
Even when there was one game I was watching, maybe they were playing the Raiders, went to overtime. Raiders, crazy fans.
Yeah.
The noise was insane, and he handled that like it was nothing. So that kind of showed me that I think he can handle it. But we won't know till we see it.
This was a conversation I've been seeing kind of happen, and it was one that I had today at lunch with some friends. And it was the fact that people are saying that if Brock Purdy is able to, perform the way he is in this 49ers offense, then Trey Lance should be the starter next year, because if Purdy can do this, Trey Lance should be able to as well. Do you agree with that?
I think Trey Lance shouldn't. I think he should go.
You think Trey Lance should go?
I don't know. I haven't seen enough of Trey Lance, but when I saw him, he didn't really impress me.
I mean, he only got to play one full game as the
I know, but he didn't really. I mean, one game, but Purdy did a lot in his first game. You look at that. Trey Lance, I mean, they weren't cooking. They weren't on the moment. I can't really tell, honestly, because they didn't have the momentum. They didn't have the hot offense like they did when Purdy stepped in.
Yeah. Do you at least, I mean, you think that
if I were to say after this year, and if Purdy takes them deep in the playoffs, I think Purdy has earned the right to be the starter. And I think it's almost a Patriot situation where when Bailey Zappi stepped in and took it, that Mac Jones had to earn it back. I think Trey Lance will have to earn it back. If he's able to.
What if the Seahawks go absolutely crazy against 49ers?
I could see that.
But yeah, so what if that happens?
If that happens, then
Brock Purdy just is not.
If he's non-existent, I think they gotta try Trey Lance, because then I'm pretty sure Shanahan knows that next year they got that dynasty there. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're probably going to be a playoff team again next year.
Sure.
He's going to need a quarterback that can perform under pressure. He's got to start Lance.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that.
But back to the Seahawks. I'm a big Pete Carroll guy.
Yeah.
I think he runs a great system. You could see that when, as soon as Wilson's gone and they take in Geno, they still have a playoff team there.
Yeah.
I could see them playing spoiler. I don't see them going to the Super Bowl per se, but I could see them knocking off a big team like the 49ers.
Sure. I mean, listen, Geno Smith he's had a complete career resurrection this year. I mean, up until like maybe,
MVP in the race up until like a couple weeks ago.
Part of me had thought that Geno Smith had retired. Like I like when I saw that they're starting Geno Smith, I was like, wait, like he's
the guy from the Jets?
I was like, wait, he's still like playing, like he's not just like hanging around as like just some random backup somewhere. And it was like, no, we're gonna make him the starter. I was like, okay, like this is gonna be an interesting experiment here. Kind of, it was like almost seeing like Ryan Dempster come out of retirement to go pitch for Team Canada in the World Baseball Classic. I was like, this is a blast from the past. Like, I feel like I'm 14 again. This is sick. And not only did he go out there and play well, this is the best he's ever played in his career, and might, get a multi-year contract out of all this, which is incredible. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's very possible. I mean, DK has been incredible for the team this year. Lockett's been, obviously doing what he does. And then the thing with the Seahawks too is just like, give them all the credit
Their
in the world.
offensive line is pretty terrible, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, but give them all the credit in the world for, Marshawn Lynch coming in there and having the great running game that they did. But whatever it is, for so many years, they've been able to just like breed incredible running backs in that backfield. Like no matter who it is.
I just think it's the system, dude.
Yeah.
I think Pete Carroll has been running a great tight ship. He's like a Belichick, honestly. I don't think he gets enough credit. I think he should be up there with the Reeds and the Belichicks.
Okay.
With what he's been able to do. You remember the Seahawks before they beat the Saints that year with the Marshawn Lynch run?
Yeah.
They were nobodies up until that year, and ever since we talk about them every year, getting deep, or not deep, but at least almost to playoffs or in the conversation.
Mm-hmm. No, it's incredible the way that franchise went from just being an absolute like
it was a shit show. Pardon my French.
Yeah, it was. It pretty much was. So, I don't know. It was ridiculous. Like Steve Largent was like the pride and soul of Seattle for so many years.
Shut up, Mr. Loss.
Yeah. And then same thing, like they obviously they had Matt Hasselbeck for a couple of years, but it was like, wow, like this team is just absolutely garbage. Mm-hmm. And, you can talk about
the Legion of Boom.
Yeah. I mean, it was a complete resurgence under what he did there. And, I thought that, some people thought the Seahawks were going to be 0-17 this year. Some people, because they saw Drew Lock and Geno Smith as your probable starters.
Dude, John's going to come after you for the Drew Lock hate though.
I'm not necessarily throwing the Drew Lock.
Wait, I got one.
Yeah. What's up?
You guys that 49ers question. What happens if Geno fumbles the bag here? I mean, I think they think they're going to lose because the offensive line. But if Geno plays horrendous, do you think they give Locke a shot next year?
Well, I mean, I don't.
But Geno had a great regular season, so it's kind of a difference.
But Geno Smith is up, so I mean, he might go try to get a contract somewhere else. Maybe the Jets, maybe they're stupid and they say, hey, you must have figured out you want to come play for us now, and like they give him the money to come there. So like, I don't necessarily know that it's a lock for him to return to the Seahawks. If I was him, I personally would, because that system is proven to work for you. But if he just wants to go make some money, he might go wherever, whatever team is just going to pay him the most and do whatever. I mean, you could at least see what you could do with Drew Lock. I mean, you're not necessarily going to be, this high stakes draft pick. Actually, depending on where the Broncos ended up, you might be able to, maybe snatch a quarterback or do something. But I don't know. It's up in the air.
Yeah. I don't know either, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I saw some Seahawks draft picks, some Seahawks draft predictions, and I think I saw them saying that they were going to take like Aaron Carter out of Georgia. So like I don't necessarily know that they're even gonna go quarterback in the first round. Like who knows what they're gonna do. I
think they're gonna just put all their eggs in one basket, see Geno will come back.
Pretty much.
But I'd be curious to see what Locke would do after. I mean, he was in that terrible Broncos system, which it's proven that a solid quarterback, well, we thought was solid, and a Seahawks system goes there, he plays terrible. So
yeah,
I'd be curious to see if he could make some noise in Seattle. But
yeah, I mean, something that it's like you make a good point, like the fact that the Broncos were able to just completely tank the career of a guy like Russell Wilson to where, he was a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback last year. Like it was still a very solid quarterback. Like even 2 years ago, people were, throwing out MVP discussions about him, like like earlier on in like, I think the 2020 season. And the fact that it's just been, the fact that it is now just this, it's just absolutely, it's just sad. It really is just that's the thing about it. It's just very sad to see it all kind of come to this. And I don't know, it makes you think, like, if I was to look, if you're the Denver Broncos now, like they're probably going to really change up their identity this offseason. I've heard that they're interviewing guys like Sean Payton, some other people they've been looking at as well.
I mean, everybody's throwing out the Sean Payton.
Yeah. I mean, who knows what they're going to look like, but they could be a very, very different team next year. Another team though, that could be very different next year is your Colts. I mean, they had the Jeff Saturday experiment was it was an interesting one.
It wasn't a fail, but it wasn't a success either.
Yeah. I mean, you got rid of Frank Reich, and
Frank Reich needed to go.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you have this team now, and they're in need of a coach, and there's a potential guy that you're in favor of them bringing in, Lovie Smith of the Houston Texans, which I'm a little shocked by, because like he didn't have the great, and I'll let you explain in a little bit, but Lovie Smith this year did not have a great year down in Houston. He was brought in to kind of fix the whole situation down there and really didn't get any better. And in the last game of the year, he played them out of getting the number 1 draft pick, where, you're losing the entire year. You have an absolutely horrific season. And when, and when the team needs you to lose, you actually decide to pull off this comeback win again against your Colts. So why do you want this guy coming into your locker room?
Well, first of all, I don't think that it was fair what they did to him. Like, you can't bring a guy in for 1 year in a terrible system, a Bill O'Brien system, and expect it
Bill
to get.
O'Brien's been gone for a couple of years now.
I know, but like, who was the coach right before? You don't even know
David
the coach.
Colley.
David Colley. Okay, what did he do for the? He didn't build a team. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he had enough time. He didn't. I don't know who's there. I don't know who their GM is.
Isn't Casario? Nick Casario.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, from the Patriots.
But I don't think he had enough time or enough influence to really turn that team around. And they were competitive. Like, they might have had a bad record, but they were really in every game. They almost beat the Cowboys there when they were hot with Tony Pollard. I think they beat the Bears. I think they almost beat the Eagles. They played some tough teams, and they held them to most of them within a touchdown.
Sure.
I think Lovie Smith is just a good fit in general. If we give him a couple years, maybe not just one, but he played. He coached under Dungy at the Buccaneers when Dungy built that franchise, and then Gruden won the Super Bowl. But he knows that system, and the Colts love the Dungy system. We took it to the Super Bowl in 2006. Obviously, they beat Smith's Bears, but I would just love to see if Lovie Smith can come in and turn around a team that actually has some pieces. Like the Texans, all they got is Damian Pierce. Let's be honest. They got to wash Brandon Cooks. But all they got is that running back. We've got something, but not a great offensive line. But we got some weapons to work with. So I'd be curious to see what you could do here.
Yeah, I think that you could. I mean, there is the potential to, I think, build something up there, but I think I just don't know if Lovie Smith's going to be the guy moving forward. I mean, I feel like, he is like that he does have like an older mindset, and, maybe that is something you could bring in, but I see a lot of coaches now, like, outside of Andy Reid and Bill Belichick, and, Pete Carroll as well. I feel like a lot of guys are trying to get younger. You see Mike McDaniel, you see, the Sean McVays of the world. I feel like
I could see them honestly getting, the D coordinator from the 49ers, DeMeco Murray.
Okay.
I could see that. Or I could see they just interviewed the guy from the Broncos, the D coordinator, and they have probably one of the best defenses in the league this year, arguably.
Yeah.
I could see that fitting the Colts system though, because the Colts were really all defense this year. But I would like to see an offensive mind, because I think that's really what we're struggling at right now.
Yeah. I mean, another coaching candidate, which I don't know if the Colts will be interested in him or not, but I know a lot of other teams have been putting in calls.
Matt Patricia.
No, it's the actual good coach.
Yeah.
Patriots, Gerard Mayo.
Gerard Mayo. Okay.
Yeah, so he's up. His contract is actually up this year.
That Gerard Mayo is the linebackers coach, right? For the Patriots.
Yeah, but he's I don't know if he's necessarily the defensive play caller. He at least had some of those duties at some point during his time with the Pats, and I think kind of split the role. It was between
Steve.
It was between him and Steve Belichick, and nothing on Steve, but I mean, he's a product. He's a product of his father, and I think that from what I've heard, Gerard Mayo is a great coach, and I think that everyone is saying that this guy could probably be the next head coach of the Patriots if Bill Belichick was to leave. And listen, Gerard, like, he obviously is a former player of him, but I think he could be something similar to more of like more of a Mike Vrabel type, to where he came from Belichick, but he's his own mind, and I think that whenever Belichick does decide to hang it up, I don't know when that's going to be, but I think Gerard Mayo could be a good step for this organization to go in. And
for the Pats, right? Or the Colts?
For the Pats. I think it could be a good thing for the Pats to go in, but I think that the Pats might end up pulling the plug on him and say, hey, we're going to ride this thing out with the Belichick guys.
I think that'd be dumb. I mean, I thought they were trying to groom Patricia, obviously, with the offensive coordinator whole thing, because he's not an offensive mind. I thought they were going to try to like groom him, teach him how to do offense and defense, then step up for the head coaching role. But that failed.
Yeah, miserably.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they offer him maybe not the OC, but give him the D coordinator, have Steve step down, and then see if they can group him to be the next coach when Belichick retires.
I would like Gerard Mayo to be the next coach, but I know that he's getting looks at from the Panthers right now. And frankly, I think if a team comes to him right now and says, hey, we'll make you the next head coach, I don't think you're going to be able to do a Josh McDaniels thing and basically say, well, no, hang on for a couple years. We'll do this. We'll do that. I don't think you're going to be able to do that with with these other guys. I think Gerard Mayo will be out the door as soon as he gets a legitimate offer.
Mhm.
So, I mean, unless you offer him the D coordinator position, say, hey, we're going to get rid of Steve and do that. But other than that, I really don't know what it's going to look like. But this Patriots coaching staff is going to need to see some massive shakeups.
I could see a little shakeup coming from Arizona.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, Cliff Kingsbury. I know that's something people have been looking at. Maybe he could come in here and work with Mac. I mean, I don't know how that could work. I mean, Bill Belichick at least liked him enough to draft him, so maybe we could see that.
It's just a very different system than Cliff Kingsbury, though.
Yeah,
Because, he's working with Kyler Murray, who's got the legs and the athleticism, where you got Mac, who's a pocket presence.
yeah,
So I think he could do it, though. I think it'd be a solid fit for the Pats.
that's fair. But I don't know. It's definitely a lot to unpack and take in. But Brian, I do have to say, before actually we have one more storyline before we go. I do see this. We were talking about Josh McDaniels. We were talking about about like people within the Patriots coaching staff leaving and going to these new organizations. We did see, and basically what I'm going to say is we're going to talk about the Raiders real quick. Derek Carr recently today on Twitter went out and he sent like a goodbye message to all of Raider Nation. He said like, hey, thank you guys for the past 9 years, and basically made it official. I'm not going to be back next year. We all kind of knew it, but this is the nail in the coffin. I'm not coming back. See you guys later. So now we know Derek Carr's out, and I have to now wonder like what is going to be next for the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, Jarrett Stidham came in there and against the 49ers went toe to toe with that incredible offense and was looking like a legitimate quarterback, which was really surprising to see. But then we saw how he performed in week 18, and it's like, okay, like this guy is probably a backup quarterback. And, with all the talent on this Raiders roster, what are they going to do next year? And something that I'm seeing being reported is that Tom Brady might try to reunite with Josh McDaniels out in Vegas and, become a Las Vegas Raider. And that would absolutely turn the league upside down. And again, the AFC West would remain the best division in all of football.
Oh, we said that this year though, and then two
yeah.
of the teams didn't pan out.
What?
Well, they said Raiders
the
and the
Raiders.
Broncos didn't really pan out.
Yeah, but if you do it now
we thought at the beginning of the season we were like all these teams
could potentially
every game exactly playoff contenders head to head every game. Then the Broncos tanked, and then the Raiders didn't pan out. But
yeah, I think if Brady goes to the Raiders, though,
I
think at that point you should be seeing 3 of those teams in the playoffs.
I was seeing that, and then I think I saw Rodgers going, or maybe a Rodgers to the Raiders if he leaves the pack. And then I think I saw Carr either going to the Packers or the Buccaneers. Okay. And then I saw Lamar. I saw a Lamar to the Jets possibly, but that's a stretch. But I would love to see a Brady in that system, see how it works.
I mean, Derek Carr was talking about wanting to win a championship and doing whatever it would take to do that. What about Derek Carr to the Seattle Seahawks? I mean, he's proven like when he's in a good system and surrounded by talent, he can have success. And I think that, if Pete Carroll can get him in there, do what they do, I think he has enough talent to where they could maybe take it over the top.
Yeah, he's kind of like a Russell Wilson in a sense. He's kind of a pocket presence.
A little less mobile, but I think if you would have put Derek Carr in that Seattle Seahawks offense, I think you could potentially get to a championship.
I'm just surprised that he didn't pan out in a Josh McDaniels system, especially with Josh Jacobs doing what he did.
Yeah.
You got the run support. Why can't you throw to a Devontae Adams, a Hunter? Hunter Renfrow was dinged up most of the season. So was Waller. So
yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, the injuries and different things like that. And, maybe it just isn't the right fit for him. So I'm not too sure, but I think that, the Raiders could potentially be a very, very interesting team next year, especially if Tom Brady's to come to town. I mean,
I think their main problem
he's going to be 46 years old playing for that team.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
46.
Can be like George Blanda in the backfield. It's like, oh my God, like how is he alive back there? I mean, Tom Brady wanted to play to 45. He got that. Might play to 50 now.
He might. I could see it. He's out of Vinatieri back there.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. I mean,
I think they have to fix their defense, though, if they're going to make a real run, because that's what really plagued them. They were putting up points, but they had no backup,
That's fair. I mean, but if you have Tom Brady back there and you have all those weapons, in my opinion, that's a better offense than Brady had when he went to Tampa with Godwin and Evans. if you have Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow in the slot, Josh Jacobs in the backfield, a very good high quality tight end in Darren Waller, and then who knows, maybe you get Gronk to run it back because he's always interested in coming out of retirement. I mean, who knows? That team could be a very fun team to watch.
I would agree. They got a way better running game too, so that gives Brady a lot more options in the air because they're scared of the run.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm interested to see how that team looks down the stretch. Is there anything else that you're really watching as we head into these NFL playoffs?
No, I'm just curious to see these little wild card games. Should be a fun matchups, maybe some upsets coming our way. Always love to see the underdog.
It really should be. I mean, Brian, my Pats are out of it this year. Your Colts are out of it. Who's the team you're gonna go? Who's the team that you're gonna be riding with?
I'm riding with. I don't know Seahawks. If the Seahawks don't do anything, I'm gonna ride with the Bills.
You're gonna ride with the Bills. Okay, I'm gonna ride with the Giants. And here's
wow.
Yeah, I'm riding with the Giants because here's why. My dad is from Long Island, and I've always said if there's ever a playoff run where the Pats are out of it and the Giants are in it, I'm going to root for the Giants because they're essentially my NFC team. Like same thing with the New York Mets. They're my NL team in baseball. So I'm going to ride with the Giants. Hopefully maybe they can have a little run here. Who knows? But that's really all I got for you guys today. We are now down to the wire, which means that we're going to wrap up what we talked about in the episode and send you guys on your way. Obviously, Briant Johnson, thank you so much for coming on today, man. It was great to have you. We talked about a lot today from Red Sox third baseman Rafael Devers getting inked for the next decade, Carlos Correa's deal falling through now this time with the New York Mets, and now he's back with the Minnesota Twins. We talked about some NFL stuff like Tua getting ruled out against the Bills, the mismanagement of him, as well as Lamar Jackson, being kind of up in the air. We don't know what that's going to look like either. Obviously, Tyler Huntley is getting some reps right now. We don't know what that's going to look like.
Well, I think that the Ravens are going to get bounced if they don't get Lamar back, obviously. But
yeah, I mean,
for next year, I don't know either. They haven't extended. This might be a Bogart situation.
Yeah, this really could be. So this could get interesting really quick. We talked about Derek Carr saying goodbye to Raider Nation. Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta being potentially used for a neutral site AFC Championship game and a lot more. It was a great time to being able to do this episode. And I'll just say, if you guys aren't following Down the Wire just yet, you can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those streaming services, as well as on YouTube. And then, if you're looking for any of those links, any of them, just go to our Instagram at down.tothewire, and you can find, all those in the link tree in our bio. Go and visit that. Brian, is there anything you want to shout out?
No, shout out Down to the Wire, baby. I always love coming on this show.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad to have you on. So I guess we'll kind of wrap it from here. And from Down to the Wire, I'm Brian Costa.
I'm Briant Johnson.
And we'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace out.